Okay, now can you hear me? Is it working now, Chris? Okay, well then I will just restart. Not a big deal. Technical difficulties, we make it work. Let's try this one. Okay, welcome. A little bit about me. Hello and welcome. I am so glad you all are here. This is the kickoff live for my channel. We will go in depth over time about cases involving people who have special needs, as well as cases involving CPS. And we will also eventually focus on trauma healing and grief. I plan on doing lives as I can. However, with that being said, I do not yet have a planned schedule or a plan of when you can expect certain cases that I'm currently working on to be made live. A few things that I simply ask. I simply ask that people are patient with me. I try my best to treat others with patience. And all I ask is for the same in return. Especially during the first few lives while I figure out hiccups such as my mic not working the right way. Secondly, I ask that people enjoy themselves. I don't mind off-topic conversations in my chats, as long as they are made and kept mostly appropriately, as I have been through a lot, and if we don't have appropriate conversations, it doesn't keep the channel a safe space. If, I think this goes without saying, but I'll say it because it's there, if you do come up on panel, all I ask is that you're dressed appropriately. That means a shirt and a pair of pants. Or please do not turn on your camera. This is to keep the space a safe space. And although you might walk around your house without certain things on, it's not welcome in my lives. Any criticism towards me or the disabilities that I mentioned throughout the cases that I cover is not allowed. Once again, as this channel is a safe space, we want everyone to feel welcomed, and I don't victimize families that are already struggling. As of now, none of my social media has been made public. If you have social media with me, please do not give it out to others in chat without asking me first. If I do not get back to you, please do not assume it is okay. I like to know who I am talking to. It's part of what keeps me safe. It's part of what keeps the channel safe. And lastly, all I ask is that if you have questions of the above, ask please, either in chat or through the comments after I am done. It just helps keep it a little bit safer. Let's get this party started. Tell me what got you into true crime while I share where I came from. So, I got into true crime because of a few cases that had happened in my life within 2 years. And what piqued my interest was how people are actually held not accountable for a lot of their actions compared to people. From there, I got involved with Quentin Simon's case, which led me down a rabbit hole into Delphi. Which, by the way, if you have not yet, give me 1 second and I will pull a few links up real quick. Hang on 1 second. I should have had this up. That's my fault. Give me 1 second. If you have not yet heard of Evil CJ, he did a really good live last night. I was up on panel over there. Looks like he is doing a live tonight as well on conspiracies, which is another rabbit hole I would love to go down. So maybe you'll see me over there tonight. That's cool, Chris. I will drop Evil CJ's link. Another good creator If you are not yet subscribed to them, who does a really good covering of Delphi and other current true crime cases. Give me a second to pull it up because it switched. It's Criminality. Another very good up and coming content creator. Not as up and coming as CJ, but still up and coming. Another newer recent one that I recently discovered through my own searching is Lighting the Way Home for the Vanished. They actually cover a lot of the similar cases that we will be covering here on my channel. So I'll drop her link. I don't want to overflow with links, so I'll drop those 3 for now. If there's any one that you want dropped or any more that you're interested in seeing who I've been hanging out with before I launched my channel, don't hesitate to ask. I have a million more links that I can drop. I was going to do an open panel in 2 minutes. All I ask is if you come up, please do not be rude or negative towards me or anyone in chat, as this is a safe space. However, as there's not that many people here yet, I will wait and do my open panel after I go into the discussion. So this starts the technical part of the case. I decided to throw in a phrase from my dog last night of detective chases on the case, aka Speak for Those Who Can't, aka Butterfly Kisses. It is an open panel, however, I am going to wait to open my panel until I go through what I need to. There is a trigger warning. It was running across the end of the screen. It still is. It's CSAM, so just be careful if CSAM content triggers you. I don't go into much depth about it, but there are a few words from the courts that could potentially trigger. This isn't preferably 18 and up stream, just because some of the content in it is not good for younger eyes to see. If you have little ears, little eyes around, maybe give them a game, something to do. Just because there are certain words on some of this that they could ask curious questions about. Copyright disclaimer. And let's get into the case. So, I've been looking heavily into Alicia Navarro's case. She went missing September 15th of 2019, so her case is considered a cold case now. There hasn't been that much information put out about it. Law enforcement downgraded it basically, which is quite interesting once we get into it. And I didn't put it in here, but it's quite interesting why they would downgrade a case like this. So let's get into it. In the darkness of the internet lay some scary people. And what I mean by that is a lot of people think of the internet as this bright, happy, cheery place. What they don't realize, there's dark paths that you can go down, that any of us can go down. But if you're smart as Alicia is, it's very easy to get lost in the paths of the internet and come across some people that are not the best for you. Thank you, Chris. So, this is Alicia. She is missing from Glensdale, Arizona. She was born in 2004, which makes her 18 years old this year. She is a Hispanic female who is only 4 foot 5 inches. And I say only because for a female of the age of 18, that is considered to be more on the shorter stature. And we'll get into the reason behind why that is so key as we go through. She is 95 pounds, but she also has autism and social anxiety, as well as other unreleased medical issues, including a limited food intake. Going on, she left with a simple message, but what went wrong? She is a teenager who once again has high-functioning autism and social anxiety as well as other unreleased medical issues. One night at 1 in the morning, she left a message for her mother in a pen stating, "I ran away, I'll be back, I swear." After 3 a.m., she vanished. She was nowhere to be found. Nobody saw where she went. There's been tips, but they haven't led to any credible findings. What could have happened to her, and where could she be? Well, there's quite a few answers to what could have happened. So let's get into it. There's a hole in the window screen of her bedroom. Multiple sources mentioned that a hole was made in her window from the inside of her bedroom. This sparks concern in me for a number of reasons, one being, what was that hole used for? Also, it made me wonder if Alicia could have known that something was up, and she panicked when her mother questioned her, which is why when her mom asked her how there got to be a hole in her window screen, she answered simply saying that a bird did it. To somebody who has high-functioning autism, that might seem like a really realistic answer. But when your parent asks you, why is there a hole in your bedroom window? They're not just gonna take it that easy that a bird did it overnight. And so her mother questioned it. It is also a big enough hole that notes could be passed through. Small objects could get through, such as cash. But it was also a big enough hole to speak through it, to mention key information. And that is super important, because if there was things that somebody said that they didn't want sent through messages on social media, which we'll get to in a minute, they very well could have mentioned the information through that little hole in her bedroom window screen. There was a white pickup truck on the night Alicia vanished. It was picked up on house cameras, but sadly the license plate could not be identified, so there was no license plate number to track the vehicle. This makes me even more curious as to if Alicia had gotten into the truck, and makes me wonder if it was possible that whoever was driving, or even possibly was in the truck itself, had promised Alicia that they would take her to Comic-Con for her 15th birthday, which was to be 5 days after she had wrote the note that she was running away. And I wonder if they ended up taking her away instead of taking her to Comic-Con. It also makes me wonder if they could have convinced Alicia that they would help her find her father or stepfather. Now this is interesting, and hold on to that thought as we go. There were people questioned. However, there was never really any idea of what ended up happening. So her case is still unknown. They don't know a lot of the details. They still don't know where she is. I can say the 2 people that were questioned were let go. And there is somebody believed to be a suspect, and I can get into that as we come across it. I also believe that quite possibly Alicia was desperate for love. She went through 2 breakups. This is significant in this case for a whole lot of reasons. One being, a lot of people assume that because someone has autism, they don't understand relationships due to their social skills. However, this is not always the case. They also assume that a lot of people with autism do not want to be in a relationship. That is not factual. In fact, a lot of people with autism want to be in a relationship. They just don't know how to navigate the relationship. It is also significant because it makes me wonder if Alicia was so desperate to connect with others, specifically males, that she ended up getting connected to someone not good for her through their tactics. Not through Alicia's tactics, but through theirs. If she was truly desperate for love, it explains why she wanted to go to California. Possibly she wanted to meet up in person with someone who she thought was her future lover, who ended up being a dangerous person. It is easy to trick any adolescent. It is possible that let me finish what I was saying and I'll answer your question, Chris. So it is quite possible for anyone who is an adolescent to be easily taken advantage of. But when you throw autism into the mix, people who have autism are so much more likely to trust certain people and keep them in their inner circle that it is quite possible that she trusted the wrong person. However, getting more in depth than this, it is absolutely possible that there is an unknown person who is responsible for this, because they don't fully know what happened to her. However, I'll get into it of why I think that they have a suspect. There's never been a suspect ever confirmed, but I'll get into depth of why I think there is a certain person who could potentially be questioned as a suspect. If that answers your question, Chris. Not in her life does not mean she was not desperate. Articles also mention that Alicia's father and stepfather were both not in her life and have also been cleared by law enforcement. However, I wanted to make something clear. Just because they are not in her life does not mean that she may not have been trying to find them. It also does not mean that Alicia did not seek out fatherly traits from males on the internet, who would have acted like a father only to trick her into a situation. Is this a case of desperation gone wrong, possibly? And I ask that because anyone who loses somebody is going to be desperate in some way to find anything connected to them. I don't know why Alicia's father and stepfather are not in her life, but it was just highly by her mother, which makes me wonder what happened. I'm glad that answers your question, Chris. So the comic on this slide is the comic that Alicia had purchased. It was $200 that her mother spent. It is called Demon in a Bottle, and it resells for about $200, if not more. The picture next to that is Alicia. I wanted to put it in there just to get her face out there so that people knew who she truly was. I'm also going to say this. Females who are skinny, like Alicia is, and it's not Alicia's fault, but people who are skinny like that, it's so much more easier to take advantage of them, because that's what a lot of, sadly, the males that do these types of behaviors are into. They're into the picture perfect females, the ones that are skinny, the ones that are short in stature, and I'll get more into that. Could this be a case of CSAM? Caution, trigger warning. Next couple slides are going to mention some heavy words. We have time to give them something to do. As much as I want to sit here and say no way to the above question, so much in Alicia's case makes me wonder, could she have thought it was better to make friends with someone over the internet? Could she, given her autism, have trusted the person who may have taken her? But also, could her smaller stature make her more of a target? Let's deep dive, and we will definitely deep dive in a minute. I want to talk about some of this though. For somebody who has autism, it is so much easier in some ways, especially with high functioning autism, to communicate over the internet with people than it is in person. The social demands that are placed on an autistic person in person is hard. And so if they find a way to communicate through the internet, it makes it way easier. Good morning, Kitty. Nice to see you. Glad you're here. And it's honestly easier to communicate through the internet for some people who have autism. Because that social, and when you throw in social anxiety, it makes it 10 times harder to communicate in person. That brings me to another point though. If you trust the person you are communicating with, it's easy to follow what they say, especially if they are a male and you've been through 2 recent breakups. Not only that, Alicia is small for her age. She was small when she was 14, when she went missing. She is still considered small for her stature now that she is 18. And that's important to stress, because these types of people will go after the people that don't look their age, because they assume that they are younger and that what they do, those people will not speak about. But we are here, I am here, to give those people a voice, to give myself a voice. Anyways, let's continue deep diving. So, there were a few quotes that I pulled out. Somebody had mentioned that they had seen Alicia being pulled along by a hand through a park. Makes me wonder, whose hand? And they did go into detail about it, that it was an older dark-skinned man with a heavily tattooed neck. And for me, that makes me wonder, well, why was she being pulled? Is it she didn't want to go? Or is it that they were trying to rush out of somewhere in a hurry to not be seen? Obviously, they were seen, but maybe his logic was, if I get her out of here quick enough, people won't see us. Keep in mind, this happened at around 3 in the morning. That's when she vanished. Also, though, Alicia is described as being an internet-savvy gamer with a rich online social presence across many platforms. She also knew how to code. Somebody who is that smart in technology knows ways around things. And I had already read articles that she kept secrets from her mother about being on technology. Makes me wonder, who else has Alicia been in communication with that could do the same thing, or the same similar thing? This goes on to say that possibly an internet predator, or a ring of them, had managed to gain Alicia's trust and whisk her away in the night, which is what I've been saying since we started this live, is that I believe that Alicia had her trust gained and something happened, and I mentioned that we would get into detail of why, and it should be coming up shortly. 2 lives makes it easier for bad people. Anyone who lives 2 lives. That's okay, Kitty. I appreciate you coming in. You can catch this on replay, I don't mind. But anyone who lives 2 lives is easier to take advantage of, both over the internet and also in real life. Depending on the age of the person and what they have already gone through, it is very easy, sadly, to take advantage of teens, especially those who may have some underlying factors that make them more of a target, such as autism. Also, a lot of people with autism thrive on routine. It doesn't matter where they are on the spectrum, they thrive on some sort of routine. However, with that being said, I mention this because although to some it may not seem routine, for Alicia it may have been. The time she talked to people over the internet was possibly the same. thus making it a routine. They could have had all of this planned out to the max, and things went wrong at the last minute, making it impossible for Alicia to get out of the situation. What is very interesting with this, and see, Chris, this is why I said I would get back to your question about a suspect, is there was an operation that went through called Operation Silent Predator, in where detectives actually ended up arresting 27 males who were attempting to lure minors. And they found at least one man who appears to fit similar circumstances. The other key point I wanted to make on this is anti-predator doesn't get involved with cases or acts unless there is a very, very good reason to be involved. Please keep this in mind when I mention what organizations are involved with Alicia's case. And if you're not fully convinced that, a predator did this, we can agree respectfully to disagree. Because I'm not fully set on this, but it is what I believe has happened. I apologize that this picture is going to be hard to see unless you zoom in, but there is one gentleman in this picture who fits the profile, and this is from And Then They Were Gone, from Alicia's blog itself that they keep on her. And I did not put the person's name out there. If you guys would like the link to it, I can drop the link. You can scroll through the pictures and do your own Google searching if you would like. I just don't post anyone's names up until I know that they are 100% the person who did it. But I will drop the link to Alicia's blog in chat. So the three organizations that are involved are Glendale Police, which has dropped the ball slightly on Alicia's case. It's gone cold. They can't find any good information despite getting tips. The FBI is also involved. They became involved shortly after Alicia's case became onto the internet. There was also a silver alert put out for Alicia due to her having autism and requiring medication for her social anxiety that she has been without now for the past 3 years. But pay attention to the third organization, that the Anti-Predators Project is involved in Alicia's case. And again, the only reason they would get involved is if they truly, truly believe that something CSAM happened to Alicia. That is the only reason anti-predators would be involved in any case involving missing children. 2 pictures of Alicia and her missing poster that goes into more detail about who she is and kind of characteristics about her. Now this says 89 pounds and 4'9". The other thing said 4'5" and 98. So obviously, like in most true crime cases at this point, details vary a little bit. But I pulled all of my information from Alicia's blog. And what I liked about this missing poster, it's in English and Spanish, so more people can hopefully be drawn to her case, even if they do not speak English. Anyone with information on Alicia's disappearance is asked to contact either Glendale Police at 623-930-3000 or the Anti-Predator Project at 305-796-4859 or tips@antipredatorproject.com. And again, there's that mentioning of Anti-Predator Project. And that's why I am so set in stone on the fact that something had to happen CSAM-wise to her. They are not releasing it. Obviously, law enforcement hasn't been doing the best of a job on the case. But they did say that even though Alicia has turned 18, they are still pushing for the case. That means that although this case has gone cold, somebody is out there in the law enforcement division over at Glendale, or through the FBI, or through Anti-Predator Project, and they're not letting this case go until Alicia is found, which means a lot. I was going to open up panel in 2 minutes. Again, I ask if you come up, please do not be rude or negative towards me or anyone in chat, as this is a safe space. If there is anybody who would like to come up who's watching, feel free to, drop an emoji in chat. If not, we can continue on, but I do want to put that offer out there. So I'll leave this up for a minute. If there's anyone who wants to hop up, just let me know and I can drop the link. If not, that is okay as well, and we can continue on. Just let me know what you guys would like, as this is your space as well. Okay, I am going to continue on. If you would like to come up on panel, don't hesitate to drop a message in chat. I can drop the link. So, a quote that I've started saying is, people don't just vanish, not without a reason or a cause. And this does not just apply to Alicia's case. This applies to every case that I will be covering from this point onwards. People don't just go missing. Don't get me started on conspiracy theories, that's a whole different thing. But true crime-wise, people just don't go missing. Not without a credible reason or a cause. Now, in Alicia's case, there was a cause. The breakups. Thank you, Deb. I appreciate it. However, the reason as to why Alicia went missing is still slightly unclear. I'm waiting for Glendale to put out more information on Alicia, and hopefully we get more information in the next couple months, because there really isn't that much out there. And so it does make covering some of these cases a little bit harder, which I wanted to touch on as well. A lot of the cases with neurotypical people who are not of color, you'll see thousands of articles on. It'll be all over YouTube, all over social media. Cases with people of color in particular go unnoticed way more. But throw in cases with people of color who have exceptionalities or disabilities, and it is harder to find things on them. So this is about months of research put in this, because there really isn't that much there. But that being said, let me know what you thought of our kickoff live plus this presentation, which both ended up merging together, as well as the presentation of this case. But please, all I ask is that you be gentle, as this is my first live and we did have technical difficulties at the beginning. I'll be on for a couple more minutes. If anyone wants to ask questions about this case, about me, my journey into true crime, ask me anything kind of panel at the moment. And I believe that is the end of our presentation. So I will stop sharing this, but if you have questions, please feel free to ask. I'll be on for a few more minutes. I'll drop a few more creators' links in the chat as well while we are wrapping up. You may or may not be familiar with them, but I will drop them while we are hanging out for a few minutes. I will also take off the trigger warning banner as our discussion is mostly done. Give me a second and I will drop some links. Maybe. There we go. Kate Does Crime is another good YouTuber. She is covering any and all of the current cases at the moment. I think she's focused on some of the bigger true crime trials that are out there. She's good. A lot of the creators' links that I'm dropping now, that's okay. You can rewatch them. I don't mind. A lot of the creators' links that I'm going to be dropping now are all creators who cover more of the current true crime cases. So if you're looking for current true crime, I'd say go their direction, as well as any of the creators' links that I dropped up earlier. I'll be focusing more so on some of the colder cases and not the cases that a lot of mainstream creators cover. Not that there's anything wrong with supporting mainstream creators, I support a lot of them. But it's a lot of the children who have disabilities, their cases go a little bit more unnoticed. I'm dropping Alex Erickson's link. She has another channel called Real Talk with Alex. She covers conspiracy theories, so if you like what Evil CJ is covering tonight, I suggest giving her a check out as well. Not while CJ is going live, so go check her out after CJ's live. Another link that I will drop is Positively Parker's. She took a little bit of a break from covering cases. She's back. She's covering a case tonight about a child who has disabilities, whose name is Noel. And I will see if I can find a flyer. I believe somebody posted a flyer about him earlier that I can pull up for you guys and talk about real quick while we are going on. That is not how I find it. Let me see. His name is Noel Alvarez. I don't see anything up in my YouTube right now. HT. Chris, can you say who HT is? Oh, never mind. I know what you're talking about. Sorry. I think to a certain point HT was involved, because then again, why would the Predator organization get involved if nothing could have happened? They were also pushing for billboards to be put up on the border of Mexico and US, which makes me wonder, was she HT'd across the border? But what's interesting is a lot of the places focused on Comic-Con in California. And so I started to wonder, was she taken to California? And they haven't given out any details of any possible sightings of her, which also makes it a bit difficult, because I would love to know a more definitive area of where she is. But they haven't given it out yet. And to give you guys a quick idea, I know I said I don't cover that many cases that are going on currently. However, this is a case of a missing kid who does have a disability, so I will go into detail about it a little bit. Let me see if I can find the thing for it real quick. Bear with me for 1 second. Oh, so they actually extended this case, which is weird. But this kid is, I believe, 6 years old. They recently held a vigil for him. He was first learned about on March 20th, and CPI, which is Texas's Child Protective Investigation, reached out saying family members hadn't seen the 6-year-old since November of 2022. So police chief went to the home where his mother, who was a 37-year-old, said he was with his biological father in Mexico. On March 23rd, CPI said they found the father, who said he never got to meet Noel before he was deported to Mexico. An Amber Alert was issued for him on March 25th, and then later that night, authorities had actually learned that the mother, stepfather, and 6 siblings boarded a flight to Turkey and then possibly India on March 23rd. Noel was not listed on that flight. And on April 6th, the chief of police said Noel is no longer an endangered missing person, but that he has determined he is more than likely gone. And that's heartbreaking that a 6-year-old is gone. He's a 6-year-old who does have disabilities, but disability or not, a kid shouldn't be believed to be gone. Not only that, makes me question, where was he if family hasn't seen him since 2022? That's a long way to go to not report a child missing. So I will probably be covering Noel's case once more comes out about it. I like to wait until cases develop a little more, just because there can be so many rumors going around that I'd rather give you guys credible information rather than rumors. With that being said, I'm looking into covering 2 more cases, possibly another one that I can think of. I don't share my cases out loud that much because a lot of people will grab them, but I don't know where my notebook went to give you guys the name of the cases. But I can say that I am working on 2 cases in the background with a few people, one being Chris. I can't find my notebook at the moment with the rest of the information in it, but give me about, let's see, I'm going to be pretty busy the next couple weeks, and the first 2 weeks in May I have already reserved to take some time off of my lives on my channel, and I'll be hanging out in some other content creators' lives the first 2 weeks in May. So give me until about maybe the 3rd week in May. I'll have another live out for you guys with more information. Maybe I'll pair up with Chris's channel and we can do something together for one of them. It's always a possibility. If you guys have any cases you guys have been looking into that you'd want to collaborate with me on, let me know, and I can see where I can fit it in. My schedule changes starting in June for work, so I won't be able to do lives constantly, but I'll be able to get things out for you guys. Even if it's a simple community post, there will still be information coming out. This isn't a one and done. This is just going to go how it goes. And I'll be picking up cases as well as they come out. A very good website to use if you haven't heard of it yet. I dropped the link a few minutes ago, but it is And Then They Were Gone. And they follow all of these missing cases. It's a podcast about kids and people who never came home, and it's ran by 2 people. It's very good. It's how I get most of my information for cases, because they do the research. for the most part. I can fact check research, I do my own on the side, but if I need something quick and easy, such as pictures for a case, I go to them. They have credible information that I then can bring to you guys. With that being said, it's about 12-ish here. I was going to hop off and maybe enjoy the rest of my afternoon. I'll be in Evil CJ's live tonight. I don't know if I'll be on panel, but I will be there tonight. Is there any more questions before I go ahead and say goodbye? Going to go ahead and say goodbye to everyone for now. If you need me and you were in chat, you should know how to get a hold of me. If not, let me know. If you come to CJ's live, I can drop you something there as a way to get a hold of me. If not, I will see you eventually again in the next live, hopefully. I float around, so if I'm not at CJ's tonight, I'll be at another creator's, or I'll start out at another creator's and I'll end up at CJ's, but I will be at CJ's at some point tonight supporting him. He was a very good supporter of me last night with getting everything kind of started, and I would love to pay him the same respect and his members the same respect, if not more respect, than I pay myself and all of you for getting my channel going today, because if it wasn't for him and his panel the other night, then my channel would not be reaching anybody at the moment. That's the honest truth. If it wasn't for Evil CJ, I would be talking to myself right now. I've done it before. It's not fun. So if you came from CJ's or you came from anybody else who might have dropped my link to my channel, I greatly appreciate you. There's not enough words I can say to you other than thank you for being here and listening to this. And, let's hope that Alicia is found, and let's hope that eventually there's more information out. If there is, I will do an update, whether it be a live or a community post, just to keep you all in the loop. But thank you very much, and I hope you all have a good rest of your day.